First Contact's deadly gambit. Grand Admiral Vexthor of the Craxian Empire stood aboard the bridge of the Celestial Dominance, his primary eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Sol system, while his secondary pair scanned the incoming data streams. The massive Dreadnought, stretching 20 kilometers from bow to stern, dwarfed the largest human vessels his scout ships had detected. Yet something about the preliminary reports troubled him. Curious, he chittered, mandibles clicking in thought. Their orbital defense grid seems almost deliberately primitive. High Commander, your analysis. High Commander Zorath stepped forward, her crystalline exoskeleton catching the ambient light. The humans appear to be a Class II civilization at best, Admiral. Their ships rely on nuclear fusion drives, conventional shields, and what appear to be basic mass accelerator weapons. Nothing that could challenge even our smallest corvettes. The Craxian Empire had subjugated dozens of species across 3 galactic arms. None had survived first contact with their full invasion fleet. The humans, with their handful of colony worlds and seemingly antiquated technology, should have been trembling at the mere sight of a Craxian scout ship. Instead, they were carrying on with their regular activities. Civilian vessels continued their routes between Earth and Mars. Construction projects proceeded in orbit around Jupiter. Mining operations in the asteroid belt maintained their usual pace. Show me their response to our warning broadcast, Vexthor commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing a human female in a simple blue uniform, Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Her expression was eerily calm as her message played. To the Craxian Empire, we acknowledge your communication and claims of authority over this sector. We invite your diplomatic delegation to our Titan outpost for preliminary discussions. As a gesture of good faith, we will power down our defensive systems during your approach. Vexthor's mandibles twitched in amusement. They're either foolish or desperate. Prepare my shuttle. High Commander, maintain battle readiness, but do not power weapons. Let's humor their diplomatic overture. As his shuttle departed the Celestial Dominance's cavernous landing bay, Vexthor reviewed the intelligence gathered over the past solar cycle. The humans had achieved faster-than-light travel only 70 years ago. Their colonies were small, their fleet numbered barely 1,000 ships, and their most powerful weapons appeared to be fusion-catalyzed warheads. Technology the Craxians had abandoned millennia ago. The shuttle approached Titan, Saturn's largest moon. The human outpost was a modest facility, its dome-like structures barely visible against the orange hydrocarbon haze. A single human vessel was docked, a ship so small it could have fit in the Celestial Dominance's waste disposal chamber. Entering final approach, the pilot announced. Human defense systems are indeed powered down as promised. Vexthor felt a surge of contempt. Such naivety, such weakness. The invasion would be over before their next solar rotation. The shuttle landed in a pressurized bay. As the atmosphere equalized, Vexthor noticed something odd about the deck plating. The material didn't match any known human manufacturing capabilities according to their intelligence reports. But before he could analyze it further, the bay doors opened. Admiral Chen stood waiting, flanked by 2 officers. No weapons, no honor guard, no formal reception. The casual nature of their welcome was almost insulting. Grand Admiral Vexthor, Chen smiled, extending a hand in what his cultural database identified as a traditional human greeting. Welcome to Titan Station. I trust your journey was comfortable. Vexthor ignored the offered hand. You understand why I'm here. The Craxian Empire claims this sector. Submit to our authority, and your species will be permitted to exist under our benevolent rule. Resist, and we will have no choice but to demonstrate our absolute power. Chen's smile didn't waver. Perhaps you'd like to see our facility first. We have something rather interesting to show you. I did not come here to tour your primitive outpost, Vexthor growled. Primitive. Chen raised an eyebrow. Oh, I suppose it would appear that way. Tell me, Admiral, have you ever heard of the concept of a Potemkin village? No. It's a fascinating bit of human history. Sometimes, the best defense isn't a wall of guns. Sometimes, it's letting your opponent believe exactly what they want to believe. A sudden chill ran through Vexthor's exoskeleton. He reached for his communicator, but it was dead. All his systems were dead. Even his biological enhancements were offline. Chen's smile remained, but it was different now. Predatory. You're so advanced, so powerful, that you never considered we might be hiding our true capabilities. Why build obvious defenses when you can make your enemies underestimate you? Welcome to humanity's real first contact protocol, Admiral. Shall we begin the actual negotiations? Behind her, the walls of the primitive outpost shimmered and vanished, revealing a vast complex of technology that made Vexthor's mandibles go slack with shock. They hadn't landed on a small outpost. They were inside what appeared to be the largest space station he'd ever seen, and his shuttle sensors hadn't detected a thing. The game of appearances was over. And the Craxian Empire had just made a terrible, terrible mistake. The Silent Stars dance. Back on the Celestial Dominance, High Commander Zorathian paced the command deck. The Grand Admiral's shuttle had gone dark moments after landing, and now their long-range sensors were detecting anomalies they couldn't explain. The supposedly primitive human outpost was now generating energy readings that shouldn't have been possible for their level of technology. "Status report," she demanded, her crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the red alert lights now pulsing through the bridge. "Commander, we're detecting nothing," the sensor officer reported, confusion evident in his voice. "The entire Titan station has vanished from our screens. No energy signatures, no mass readings, nothing." Zorathian's secondary eyes narrowed. "Impossible. Recalibrate the sensor array." "Already done, 3 times. It's as if that entire section of space is empty." A sudden flash on the tactical display caught her attention. Where moments ago there had been empty space around Saturn's rings, dozens of contact signatures were now appearing. Ships unlike anything in the Craxian database were emerging from what appeared to be tiers in the fabric of space itself. "Battle stations," Zorathian ordered, but before the crew could respond, every system on the mighty Dreadnought went dark. The emergency generators kicked in, only to fail seconds later. Even their quantum-encrypted communications array was silent. Through the bridge viewport, Zorathian watched in horror as the human vessels approached. They moved with impossible grace, their hulls seeming to bend light around them. They weren't using any known form of propulsion. They simply existed in one point of space, then another, without any visible transition between states. On the Titan station, Grand Admiral Vexthor was experiencing a similar paradigm shift. Admiral Chen led him through corridors that by all rights shouldn't have existed, past technology that defied his understanding of physics. "You're wondering how we hid all this," Chen said, gesturing to a window that overlooked a vast chamber where ships were being constructed atom by atom before his eyes. "The answer is simple. We didn't. Your sensors saw exactly what was there. They just didn't understand what they were seeing." Vexthor's mandibles clicked in agitation. "Impossible. Our scanning technology is beyond anything your species could comprehend." Chen laughed softly. "And that's exactly why it failed. You were looking for technology you understood. We stopped using conventional energy signatures and material construction centuries ago. What you saw as primitive nuclear drives were actually quantum vacuum propulsion systems. Those basic shields, phase-shifted reality barriers. Your sensors registered them as simple electromagnetic fields because that's all they could comprehend." She led him to a central command center where holographic displays showed the Craxian fleet hanging motionless in space. "Right now, your ships are trapped in what we call a temporal cognizance field. Time is passing normally for your crews, but their technology can't interface with normal space-time. We could have destroyed them, but we prefer to avoid unnecessary violence." "Why?" Vexthor demanded. "Why maintain this deception? Why not simply demonstrate your power?" Chen's expression grew serious. "Because, Admiral, Humanity learned long ago that true power isn't about domination. It's about understanding. We've encountered 17 other species before you. Each time, we presented ourselves as less advanced than we were. It's a simple test, one that every other species passed. They approached us with curiosity, with offers of cultural exchange and mutual growth. She gestured to a display showing historical records. The Ardanians shared their art and philosophy. The Zintai brought us their medical knowledge. The Quantum Collective taught us new ways of perceiving reality itself. Each interaction enriched both species. But you, she shook her head. You saw what you believed to be a weaker species and immediately moved to conquer. Outside, the human ships had surrounded the Craxian fleet. They were unlike anything Vexthor had ever seen. Their hulls seemed to be made of living metal that flowed and shifted like liquid mercury. Some appeared to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, their forms challenging his ability to perceive them. We call that the Dragon's Teeth Defense Fleet, Chen explained. Though fleet isn't quite accurate, they're more like extensions of our collective consciousness, quantum-entangled constructs that operate on principles your scientists haven't discovered yet. The ships you saw earlier, the ones you dismissed as primitive. Those were automated drones, designed to maintain our facade of technological inferiority. A new hologram appeared, showing Earth. But it wasn't the Earth that Craxian intelligence had reported. The planet was surrounded by structures that seemed to defy physics. Massive rings that phased in and out of normal space, stations that existed as quantum superpositions, and defense systems that made the mighty Craxian fleet look like children's toys. This is humanity's true face. Admiral, we're not confined to 3 dimensions. We don't rely on conventional matter or energy. Every human colony you detected was real, but they're just the surface layer. Our true civilization exists in spaces your sensors can't detect and your weapons can't reach. Vexthor felt his worldview crumbling. Everything he had believed about his species' superiority, about their divine right to rule the galaxy, was being systematically destroyed. And yet, one question burned in his mind. If you possess such power, why reveal it now? Why not simply continue your deception? Chen's expression softened slightly. Because despite your aggressive approach, we see potential in your species. This demonstration isn't just about showing our strength. It's about offering you a choice. You can retreat to your empire and continue on your current path of conquest and stagnation, or you can join us in exploring the true mysteries of the universe. She waved her hand, and a new display appeared, showing realms of existence that made Vexthor's scientific understanding seem primitive by comparison. There are wonders out there that neither of our species has yet comprehended, challenges that will require cooperation, not conquest, to overcome. The question is, Grand Admiral, are you willing to learn? Pride before the fall. High Commander Zorathians watched in stunned silence as another Craxian battlecruiser simply vanished from normal space, pulled into what the humans called a probability void. The mighty celestial dominance, pride of the Craxian fleet, hung powerless in space, its quantum reactors reduced to little more than exotic paperweights by human technology she couldn't begin to comprehend. Through the bridge viewport, she observed one of the human vessels up close for the first time. Its hull seemed to breathe, geometric patterns flowing across its surface like liquid mathematics. Where Craxian ships were angular and imposing, built to project power through sheer size and visible weaponry, this human craft appeared almost organic, its form constantly shifting between states of matter that shouldn't have been possible. "Commander," her tactical officer called out, his voice trembling. "We're receiving a transmission from the Grand Admiral's shuttle, but it's impossible. According to these readings, the signal is coming from 3 different temporal coordinates simultaneously." Before Zorathians could respond, every display on the bridge activated at once. The image of Admiral Chen appeared, but she wasn't alone. Grand Admiral Vexthor stood beside her, his usually imposing presence somewhat diminished by the wonder evident in all 4 of his eyes. "This is Grand Admiral Vexthor. To all Craxian vessels," he announced, his voice carrying an emotion Zorathians had never heard from him before. "Humility. Stand down all systems. Deactivate all weapons." The humans. He paused, mandibles clicking in what she recognized as embarrassment. "The humans are beyond our ability to comprehend, let alone combat." Admiral Chen stepped forward. "To demonstrate our sincerity in seeking peaceful resolution, we will now restore power to your vessels. Please understand that any hostile action will be met with immediate quantum isolation." True to her word, the Celestial Dominance's systems began coming back online. But something was different. The quantum processors that formed the heart of Craxian technology were operating with unprecedented efficiency. Somehow, the humans had upgraded their entire computer network during the shutdown. "A small gift," Chen explained, seeming to read Zorathians' thoughts. "Your basic quantum architecture was sound, but you were still approaching it from a three-dimensional perspective. We added a few subroutines that should help you begin to understand multi-dimensional computing." On the auxiliary displays, Zorathians could now see the true extent of human civilization around Saturn. What they had mistaken for simple mining operations in the rings were actually vast computational arrays, each ring segment a processor that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. The primitive fusion reactors they detected were merely the waste heat bleeding off from power sources that defied conventional physics. "Your species stands at a crossroads," Chen continued, addressing the entire Craxian fleet. "For millennia, you've defined progress through conquest, measuring civilization by its capacity for destruction. But there are other paths. When humanity first achieved faster-than-light travel, we could have chosen the same road. Instead, we looked inward, exploring the quantum nature of consciousness itself." The holographic display shifted, showing Earth's true form. The planet was surrounded by structures that seemed to fold through dimensions, each one a testament to humanity's mastery over space, time, and reality itself. What had appeared to be simple orbital habitats were revealed as nodes in a vast network that stretched across multiple planes of existence. "Our cities don't just exist in physical space," Chen explained. "Each human settlement is a nexus point where consciousness and reality intersect. We don't build ships in the conventional sense. We grow them from the quantum foam of space itself, imbuing them with fragments of our collective consciousness." Vexthor stepped forward again. "I have seen their true capabilities firsthand. The technology we presume to be superior is like stone tools compared to what humanity has achieved. But more importantly, I have seen their wisdom. They could have destroyed us at any moment. Instead, they offer us understanding." A new ship appeared near the Celestial Dominance, materializing from what appeared to be a fold in spacetime itself. Unlike the other human vessels, this one seemed designed to be comprehensible to Craxian sensibilities. It was a bridge between technologies, a physical representation of the path being offered. "This vessel contains a primer on quantum consciousness technology," Chen said. "It's designed to interface with your current level of understanding, while gradually introducing concepts your species will need to grasp before proceeding further. Consider it a key to a door you never knew existed." Zorathians watched as small pods began detaching from the human ships, each one approaching a different Craxian vessel. These weren't weapons or boarding craft. They were teaching tools, containing knowledge that would fundamentally change Craxian civilization. "The choice before you is simple," Chen continued. "You can reject this gift, return to your empire, and continue along your current path. Or you can accept that there are greater mysteries in this universe than conquest, deeper powers than military might, and join us in exploring them." A subtle shift rippled through space around them. For just a moment, Zorathians' consciousness expanded, allowing her to perceive reality as the humans did. She saw the quantum threads connecting all matter, the dance of probability waves that formed the fabric of existence, and the vast, untapped potential that lay within her own species' collective consciousness. When the moment passed, she understood why the humans had maintained their facade of technological inferiority. It wasn't fear or deception that motivated them. It was patience. They had been waiting, watching, hoping each new species they encountered would prove worthy of the knowledge they held. Echoes of innovation. In the weeks following the revelation at Saturn, the Craxian Empire underwent changes that would have been unimaginable mere months ago. The great war fleets that had once terrorized the galaxy were being transformed, their weapons stripped away and replaced with quantum sensing arrays. The same ships that had brought destruction now probed the boundaries of reality itself. Grand Admiral Vexthor stood in the newly established quantum integration chamber aboard the Celestial Dominance, watching as human engineers, or rather, their quantum projections, helped modify the ship's core systems. The massive Dreadnought was becoming something entirely new, a mobile research platform for exploring consciousness itself. Remarkable, he murmured, watching as what had once been the ship's main particle cannon was converted into a probability wave analyzer. All those centuries of warfare, and we never once considered that the universe itself might be conscious. Admiral Chen's projection appeared beside him, her form slightly translucent, but perfectly detailed. That's often the hardest lesson for warrior cultures to learn. The universe isn't a resource to be conquered. It's a consciousness to be understood. Your weapons were searching for targets in space, when space itself is alive with possibility. The ship shuddered slightly as new systems came online. Through the quantum-enhanced sensors, Vexthor could now see the layers of reality that had always surrounded them. The void between stars wasn't empty. It was teeming with quantum potential, threads of probability that could be woven into new forms of matter and energy. The other species we subjugated, Vexthor said, his mandibles clicking in shame. They could have taught us so much if we only listened. Chen nodded. That's why we're helping you establish contact with them again. Not as conquerors, but as fellow explorers. Many of them have insights that will prove valuable in your transition. On the main display, reports streamed in from across Craxian space. The quantum consciousness primers provided by humanity were spreading understanding faster than any military campaign ever could. Young Craxians, especially, were adapting quickly to the new paradigm, their minds naturally grasping concepts that the older generation struggled with. High Commander Zorathians entered the chamber, her crystalline exoskeleton now embedded with quantum processors that allowed her to perceive multiple probability states simultaneously. The first successful consciousness transfer has been completed, she reported. A young engineer managed to project her awareness into one of the quantum nodes. She described it as beautiful. That's just the beginning, Chen said. Once your species fully grasps the principles of quantum consciousness, you'll understand that physical form is just one expression of being. The universe offers infinite possibilities for existence. Through the viewport, Vexthor watched as a human ship demonstrated this principle. Its form shifted, flowing like liquid light as it explored different configurations of matter and energy. It wasn't changing shape, it was changing the very nature of its existence, moving through probability states as easily as a Craxian ship once moved through space. The other galactic powers are watching, Zorathians noted. Our former rivals are sending delegations, seeking to understand what has happened to the mighty Craxian Empire. Good, Chen replied. The more species that embrace this understanding, the closer we come to achieving true galactic harmony, not through force or dominion, but through shared exploration of consciousness itself. An alert chimed softly, and new data began flowing across the displays. The first joint human-Craxian research project was bearing fruit. By combining Craxian crystal technology with human quantum consciousness principles, they had created something entirely new, a way to communicate directly with the quantum fabric of space-time. Listen, Chen said softly. And they did. Through the new quantum interfaces, they could hear the universe singing to itself, an endless symphony of probability waves and quantum potentials. What had once seemed like empty space was revealed as an ocean of consciousness, waiting to be explored. We were so blind, Vexthor whispered. All those resources we spent on building bigger ships, more powerful weapons, when the real power was in understanding. The ship's quantum processors hummed as they processed new data from the far reaches of Craxian space. Former colony worlds, once held in check through fear and military might, were now reaching out eagerly for the new knowledge being offered. The Empire wasn't collapsing. It was transforming into something far more profound. There will be challenges ahead, Chen cautioned. Some among your people will resist change. Others will try to weaponize this knowledge, to turn quantum consciousness into a tool of war. That's why we're proceeding carefully, sharing understanding in measured doses. Zorathians' secondary eyes focused on a detailed analysis of their latest quantum experiments. We've already identified several hardline military commanders attempting to reverse engineer the principles for weapon development. But they don't understand. You can't weaponize consciousness itself without destroying what makes it valuable. Precisely, Chen agreed. The power we've shown you isn't in the technology. It's in the understanding that comes with it. You can't force quantum consciousness to obey military doctrine any more than you can force the universe itself to submit to your will. Legacy of the Stars. 1 year after the encounter at Saturn, the celestial dominance returned to Earth. The vessel that had once been the pride of the Craxian war fleet was now barely recognizable. Its hull rippled with quantum possibilities, its very structure existing in multiple states simultaneously. As it approached Earth's defense sphere, it didn't trigger a single alarm. It had evolved beyond the need for conventional space travel. Grand Admiral Vexthor, his consciousness now partially merged with the quantum fabric of reality, stood in the ship's observation chamber alongside High Commander Zorathians. They watched as Earth revealed its true face to them once again, not the primitive world they had once dismissed, but a nexus of consciousness that defied traditional understanding. Hard to believe we once thought we could conquer this, Zorathians mused, her crystalline form now interwoven with streams of quantum data. We couldn't even properly see it. Admiral Chen's consciousness manifested beside them, no longer needing holographic projection. You've come far in a short time. Your species' adaptability is remarkable. We had good teachers, Vexthor replied. Though not everyone in the Empire embraced the change. The resistance had been inevitable. When word of the transformation reached the Craxian homeworld, several fleet commanders had attempted a coup. Believing their leadership had been compromised by human influence, they launched their ships toward Earth, determined to prove that traditional Craxian military might could triumph over what they saw as human sorcery. They never reached their target. Their ships, still bound by conventional physics, couldn't even detect the quantum barriers that gently redirected them into a probability void. When they emerged, they found themselves back in orbit around their own worlds, their weapons transformed into consciousness exploration tools. The latest reports from the Integration Council are promising, Zorathians said, bringing up a quantum display. 87% of Craxian worlds have now established their first quantum consciousness links. The younger generation especially has embraced the new paradigm. The display showed scenes from across former Craxian space. Worlds that had once housed military academies now hosted consciousness exploration centers. The crystalline architecture that had been the hallmark of Craxian military might was being reproposed, each structure becoming a node in an ever-expanding network of awareness. And what of the species we once subjugated? Vexthor asked, his mandibles moving in what had become a gesture of contemplation. See for yourself, Chen replied. The quantum display shifted, showing a gathering that would have been impossible a year ago. Representatives from 17 formerly conquered species were meeting on a Craxian world, not as vassals, but as equals. Their combined consciousness resonated through the quantum field, each bringing unique perspectives to the exploration of reality. The Ardanians' grasp of quantum aesthetics has revolutionized our understanding of probability waves, Zorathians noted. And the Zinte's biological quantum interfaces, we never imagined consciousness could be expanded in such ways. A soft chime echoed through the quantum field, a signal from Earth's consciousness nexus. The human leadership was ready to proceed with the next phase. "Are you certain your people are ready for this?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer through the quantum link they'd all shared. Vexthor's response rippled through multiple probability states simultaneously. "As ready as we can be. The old empire is gone. What emerges now will be something new, something better." The quantum display showed the culmination of a year's work. Across former Craxian space, massive consciousness nodes were activating. Each one represented the combined awareness of millions of beings, all linked through the quantum field. But this was no hive mind. Each individual consciousness remained distinct, contributing to a greater whole while maintaining its unique perspective. "The quantum consciousness network is stable," Zorathians reported. "All nodes are synchronized. We're ready to join the greater galactic community." With a thought, Chen activated Earth's primary consciousness nexus. The quantum field rippled as humanity fully revealed the true scope of galactic civilization. The Craxians saw, for the first time, the vast network of consciousness that spanned the galaxy. Thousands of species, each exploring reality in their own way, all connected through the quantum fabric of space-time itself. "Welcome," Chen said, as the Craxian consciousness network merged with the galactic field. "Welcome to the real universe." The merger was unlike anything the Craxians had experienced. Each consciousness in their network suddenly had access to the accumulated knowledge of countless civilizations, not as raw data, but as lived experience, shared directly through the quantum field. Perspectives that would have taken millennia to develop through conventional means became instantly accessible. Through the quantum link, Vexthor felt the approval of the Galactic Consciousness Collective. The Craxians had passed the test that every species faced. They had chosen understanding over power, wisdom over conquest. Their transformation from a military empire to a consciousness collective marked the beginning of a new chapter in their existence. "And now?" Zorathians asked, her consciousness resonating with curiosity through the quantum field. Chen's response came not in words, but in a cascade of quantum possibilities. Images of unexplored dimensions, untapped realms of consciousness, and mysteries that even the combined knowledge of the Galactic Collective had yet to solve. "Now," she said finally, "the real exploration begins. The universe is vast, consciousness infinite, and reality far stranger and more beautiful than any of us imagined. And we explore it not as separate species, but as one consciousness, infinite in its diversity." The celestial dominance, once a weapon of war, now pulsed with the combined consciousness of its crew. It was no longer just a ship. It was a bridge between realities, a platform for exploring the infinite possibilities that lay before them. As the former flagship of the Craxian Empire merged with Earth's defense sphere, its quantum signature joining the vast network of galactic consciousness, Vexthor reflected on how far they had come. They had arrived as conquerors, seeking to subjugate what they thought was a primitive species. They were departing as explorers, their consciousness expanded beyond anything their military doctrine could have imagined. The age of empires was over. The age of understanding had begun.